Queen of the Damned, a film based on an Anne Rice novel about a vampire love affair gone horribly wrong.
Aaliyah plays Queen Akasha, who's not only beautiful, but she's powerful. I mean, she's a goddess among men, and she alone holds the key to eternal life.
But when the promise of immortality bleeds off-screen,
Alan couldn't get enough. I mean, he watched this film at least 100 times, and now he thought it was real.
Why are you so obsessed with this?
A copycat killer is born.
He tells police, I always knew I needed to kill someone so I could become a vampire.
He floats to them the idea that he's had visions about vampires and that he's been visited by Akasha from the movie.
And Alan's crime makes vampire films look innocent.
What kind of person can eat their best friend's brains? What kind of person can drink their best friend's blood and enjoy it?
I think there was a part of him that wanted to be feared, that wanted to have the control.
In 2002, the film Queen of the Damned is released to an eager fan base dying to see the latest adaptation from the famed literary series Vampire Chronicles.
So I thought that Queen of the Damned was an appropriate follow-up for Interview with the Vampire. Anne Rice's novels were very popular, even though the movies didn't get universal critical acclaim.
The movie stars Stuart Townsend as Lestat, a vampire who grows weary of the world and decides to rest for 200 years.
Lestat wants to be a rock star, and it's actually the rock music that wakes him up. What happens later, though, is as his music gets to be more popular, it wafts into the crypt of a very, very powerful female vampire named Akasha. And that's when all hell literally breaks loose.
While the movie fails at the box office, its featured star, Aaliyah, as Queen Akasha becomes a worthy footnote in film history.
Aaliyah had actually died 6 months before the film released in an unfortunate plane accident. But even though we all knew that she could really sing, this was fairly good proof that she was going to have a career in front of the camera as well.
In the film, Aaliyah's character has the ability to control any vampire or human who walks the earth.
You must kill someone.
I knew I had to kill somebody to become a vampire.
And now she's controlling 22-year-old Alan Menzies in real life. Growing up in Fauldhouse, West Lothian, Scotland, by the age of 14, Alan virtually has no friends and is endlessly bullied in school by his peers.
You couldn't walk here, so...
Alan, unfortunately, had a pretty miserable childhood.
I don't know why you're doing this. I haven't done anything wrong.
No.
He was bullied. He wasn't protected. Child with limited coping skills. Really, all the fundamental groundwork that would produce a child, seemingly who did not adjust well.
As a result, it seems Alan becomes disconnected with the world and relies on movies and video games to occupy his time.
Some people are clearly influenced by movies, games, videos. Clearly, there are individuals in society who are probably more susceptible to be influenced by extreme material than others.
The challenged youth becomes desensitized towards violence and takes on some demented fascinations.
He starts obsessing over the darker things in life, like serial killers and Nazis. I mean, he becomes fixated on these things, and they really begin consuming a lot of what occupies his mind.
Unfortunately, in Alan's mind, these were individuals who had power and control over other people's lives.
As a social outcast, Alan finds himself desperate for power and control, but his fellow classmates won't allow it.
He doesn't fit in with his peers. He really is different. And when you're different and you don't have friends, you're a very easy target to be picked on. And so Alan then becomes the scapegoat for the class.
Sadly, Alan becomes suicidal. One day in school, he shows a fellow classmate a noose he has crafted.
By taking a noose into school, I think he was giving a clear signal to his pupils, to his classmates and his teachers, that he blamed them for his unhappiness.
But then something changes in Alan. He decides to fight back.
When we feel that we've been humiliated or we've been shamed in the public arena, those oftentimes can set the wheels in motion to get revenge, to seek out to damage others.
Alan decides that it is important to reestablish himself among his peers.
He continued to come to school and to face his oppressors. And with that, there came a time when he came to school with a knife.
And now, one of Alan's tormentors is set to pay for his actions.
When that bully approached him for the umpteenth time, Alan fought back, but not with his fists and not with his words, but with a quick stab.
But I think there was a part of him that wanted to be feared, that wanted to have the control.
Alan, what did you do?
This, of course, represented a tidal change. It stopped him being bullied at school. He now became that kid who stabbed someone.
Finally, Alan has the power and control he's been seeking. But it's short-lived. In the aftermath of the attack, the bully survives his wounds, and Alan is arrested for the crime.
He went before the judge. His defense was self-defense.
Perhaps Alan was a mere product of his surroundings.
When you're bullied day in and day out, there probably is a great deal of justification for having that kind of rage and having that kind of hatred and wanting to get even.
A judge sentences Alan to 3 years in a juvenile detention center. Upon his release, Alan is hardly a changed man.
Oh my gosh! Welcome home! Oh, Mom! Oh, it's so good to have you back!
Those 3 years did him no good. He wasn't being treated. All they were doing was putting him away.
You happy to be here?
Hi, Mom.
Thanks for bringing him.
For many people, of course, the experience of prison is horrific. And this could explain why Menzies, after his release, was more withdrawn and more socially isolated than he had been before he went in.
Then Alan has a change of fortune in his life when he returns to school after serving his time.
He meets a fellow teenager named Thomas McKendricks. Thomas was very much like him.
They were both getting some kind of comfort, some kind of solace from that relationship because they were both equally, let's say, socially inept or socially inadequate.
Nice.
The 17-year-olds are like two peas in a pod. Thomas doesn't seem to mind Alan's tainted past, and the two quickly become best friends.
Oh, nice.
Then, one night while hanging out, Thomas introduces Alan to a movie that will forever change his life.
I mean, we've been doing this for what, like 2 hours now? Good. Let's do something else. Watch a movie. Hey, I brought this one along. You might actually like it. You want to try it out?
Sure, yeah.
All right.
One of the movies he turns Alan onto is Queen of the Damned. And Alan immediately becomes fixated with this movie.
Alan can't tear his eyes away from the screen. And there is one particular character Alan can't get enough of.
I really like her.
So Akasha? Yeah, she's a good singer too, man.
The lead, Aaliyah, who played a vampire, was not only beautiful, but she was incredibly powerful and had the power over life and death.
You want to watch it again?
Right now?
Yeah.
Why not, man? Let's do it.
Alan asks if he can borrow the movie and even starts watching it 3 times a day. In the course of a few months, Alan sees the movie over 100 times. He can't get over how powerful the Queen of the Damned is.
He had to know every line by heart. He probably knew, the lines better than the actors themselves had known. This film became almost his whole life.
No one can predict just how important the Queen of the Damned is to Alan.
Alan started to develop hallucinations where he felt he could see the character that Aaliyah played, and also that he could hear her talking to him.
Alan, it is time. Alan.
And commanding him.
Alan believes that by following the Queen's orders, he will become a powerful vampire who will be worshipped by everyone. As Alan's thirst for blood grows, it's only a matter of time before he shows his fangs. In Queen of the Damned, the character Akasha is a bloodlusting vampire taken from the Anne Rice literary series Vampire Chronicles, who has the power to transform any man into an immortal.
Aaliyah plays Queen Akasha, and not only is she beautiful, she's also powerful, a goddess among men, and she holds the key to eternal life.
Alan Menzies believes that his queen needs a king after his best friend Thomas lends him the film.
It seems readily apparent that he had the hots for her. And when you love as a teen, that love is never ending.
And he's about to commit some heinous acts to seize this distorted fate. By the age of 18, it's painfully obvious to Alan's family that something isn't quite right with the teenager.
Alan, stop it! Alan!
They often hear him shouting or screaming or hearing parts of the soundtrack of the film over and over again in the room. And I think they're becoming not just concerned for his well-being, but worried for his future as well.
What's going on up there?
You hear him. He's locked in. He won't let me in.
He's really getting worse. We need to get him out and try to talk to him.
Okay. How?
His unexplainable fits of rage scare his parents deeply. And it only gets worse as time progresses.
Alan, what's the deal with you staying in your room all day watching vampire movies?
Vampires are real, you know.
In the first place, that's not what we're talking about.
They are.
Well, that's a lot of crap.
You would never believe it. Mom would believe me, right, Mom?
Alan actually attempted to convince his mother and father that vampires existed.
You can look it up. There's books, you can look it up online. I read once that in Transylvania, there's multiple excavation sites where they found real vampires.
And he told his mother and father, I want to be a vampire.
What do you mean you want to be one? You want to drink blood?
You guys would never get it.
And his obsession only spirals more and more out of control.
Alan! 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 Get in here! What is that? What is that?
Why would you grab this?
He brought home ox liver.
This is not yours. That has my name on it. Do not touch it.
And this is something he wanted to eat, and he wanted to let his family know that he wanted to eat ox liver.
I mean, he's really becoming so entrenched with this movie that he's losing touch with his own reality.
Then, one night, Alan's invitation to vampire brotherhood comes to him while he lies in bed.
He actually begins to see Aaliyah in his room.
Alan, it is time. Time for you to become a vampire.
Promising him immortality, promising him the power of a vampire.
The Queen of the Damned offers Alan a deal.
If he wanted to be a vampire, if he wanted to gain the power to live for eternity, that he would have to kill someone to prove his worthiness.
You must kill someone.
For Alan, the deal is a no-brainer.
It seemed very clear-cut. In order to become a vampire, in order to become united with his love interest, which was Aaliyah, he had to kill.
Now Alan thinks there is only one thing left to do to be united with the character Aaliyah portrays in the movie.
He knew he wanted to become a vampire. There was no other direction that he wanted to take. Now, it was just finding a victim.
Alan doesn't know who his sacrifice will be, but he feels like he has to act soon.
When people turn themselves off from the rest of the world, and they are in isolation, they are prone to develop a skewed perception within their reality.
Perhaps the only thing that can save Alan from his dire straits is his friend Thomas.
Seriously? Again?
Come on.
You don't want to do something else for once, man? Come on.
Come on, Thomas. Let's just watch it.
On December 11th, 2002, Alan's friend Thomas McKendrick comes over for a visit.
Alan, seriously, you're not tired of this yet?
When Thomas comes over, Alan wants to watch Queen of the Damned.
Look, I'm just saying, we've seen it like 100 times by now. Let's do something else for once.
But Thomas doesn't share Alan's love for the film anymore.
One evening, just once or something.
I think at this point, even though Thomas had introduced Alan to the movie, it certainly didn't affect Thomas the way it affected Alan.
Didn't ever think maybe we should do something else?
McKendrick says it's not as good as it's built up to be, it's not important anymore, and that really perhaps their friendship needs to develop and build and go beyond the realm of watching this film repeatedly.
Thomas starts to make sarcastic remarks about the film, starts to make fun of it.
Why are you so obsessed with this? This is stupid vampire movie.
Thomas, stop.
And starts to make fun of the character Aaliyah is playing.
Akasha, Queen of the Vampires.
Seriously.
Get out. Get out.
Are you serious?
Get out.
The snarky remarks send Alan into a frenzy.
Perhaps McKendrick had thought about this for quite some time before actually picking up the courage. However, Menzies clearly didn't welcome it, and he didn't take to it well.
Leave.
Whatever. You're crazy. Just get a drink.
Alan's perception was so skewed at this point that he truly believed that this character that Aaliyah played was real and was calling to him and commanding him. So he defended her.
Alan tells Thomas that he doesn't want to see him again. And he gets his wish.
After the fight, Thomas hasn't been seen for weeks. Alan doesn't know what happened to him. It seems nobody knows what happened to Thomas.
Was he Alan's baptism by fire into the world of vampires? Or is someone else marked for death? Queen of the Damned doesn't garner critical praise like its prequel, Interview with the Vampire, did, but superfan Alan Menzies can't seem to get enough of the film.
I mean, he watched this film at least 100 times, and now he thought it was real.
Your queen, Akasha?
After Thomas McKendrick gets into a fight with his friend Alan over the movie,
Whatever.
he never returns home.
When you're fighting with your best friend, that's pretty serious. So maybe he went off. Maybe he did leave town. Maybe he didn't go home. The point is, nobody knew where Thomas was.
Or maybe there is another reason behind Thomas's sudden disappearance.
Was Thomas a victim of Alan? Was he the sacrifice that Alan needed?
Alan, it is time.
To be baptized into the world of becoming a vampire?
You must kill someone.
We don't know.
Without any sign of Thomas, his parents begin to worry about his safety and phone police.
It's very normal and natural for his parents to be worried. They don't know where their son is. They were expecting their son to come home right after seeing Alan, but he doesn't.
Thomas's parents tell police that he was last seen at Alan's house.
Thomas didn't have many friends. Alan was really his only friend, and Alan was the last person who had seen Thomas alive, so it makes perfect sense that the police would go to him first to begin their investigation.
Once the police arrive to Alan's home, they don't get a sense that he has anything to hide.
Hi there, Mr. Alan Menzies?
Yeah.
Hey there, sir. We're here to ask you a few questions about your friend Thomas.
Okay.
His parents contacted us. This is the last place that he had been seen.
Okay. Yeah.
When did you see him last?
A couple days ago.
Can you tell us where he might have gone after he left here?
No, I haven't talked to him, so. We got actually in an argument, so.
An argument, huh?
You got in an argument?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that, or?
We just watched a movie and got in a fight, and he left, so.
Something heated?
No, nothing like that.
So Alan and the police meet. Alan informs them that he and Thomas did have a fight. They did argue, but Thomas left. Alan doesn't know what happened to Thomas.
And there's no place you can think that he might have gone.
No, I can't think of anything.
And the police believe him. And it seems to be true for the moment.
Well, if you hear of anything, give us a call. Here's our phone.
Since Thomas has only been missing for a short while, they have hope that he'll show up at some point.
Thomas had no enemies. There's no reason to believe that anything horrible, such as murder, would have befallen Thomas.
Police officially classify the disappearance as a missing persons case and tell Alan to be on the lookout. But shortly after this routine checkup, Alan's demeanor changes drastically.
Alan? Why didn't you answer me? What are you doing in here all day?
What? Why are you coming in here?
Because I'm worried about you.
I don't want you coming in here, please.
What's that? It looks like blood.
Alan has a quick answer. I cut myself, and those bloodstains on the floor. is my blood. And the father believes his own son.
Yeah. You want me to close the door?
Yes.
Alan's story seems innocent enough. However, a few days later, Alan sees Thomas McKendrick's mother in a store shopping and says something that is highly questionable.
Miss McKendrick.
What are you doing here?
One of the most bizarre and disturbing aspects of Menzies' behavior was that while Thomas was still missing, Menzies approached Thomas's mother in a supermarket and asked her if a particular product would remove bloodstains.
While Thomas's mother doesn't want to believe that his son's best friend has anything to do with his disappearance, Alan's statement is highly alarming.
Yeah, that will...
I think upon hearing this, the alarms went off. I mean, he was the last person to see Thomas, and now he's asking how to clean up blood.
Okay.
Without hesitation, Thomas's mother reports the news to police. After hearing the bizarre statements, detectives begin to wonder if Alan has something to hide.
Now the police then strongly suspect Alan. After all, Alan has a history. Alan had stabbed another boy in grade school. Now the police are more focused in on Alan because of Alan's history.
Detectives return to Alan's home for another round of questioning.
Alan doesn't give police much. He just says that he hasn't spoken to Thomas since the day they had that argument and Thomas left. But he seems to be hiding something.
A quick search of the woods surrounding Alan's property only strengthens their suspicions.
They search the property, and lo and behold, they find...
I think we got something.
A shirt and pants that are covered in blood.
Your pants with blood stain. What do you think?
And so they take the clothing items because they need to be tested.
The DNA results have detectives feeling that their worst fears about Thomas's case are about to become true.
The testing of the clothes then determined that the blood was Thomas's, and they were in the property of Alan. And so the police then again returned to Alan as their #1 suspect.
The investigation into Thomas's disappearance has just switched from missing person to homicide. There is just one issue still lingering. Police don't have a body.
They can't find Thomas anywhere. They may have his clothes, his bloody clothes, but they don't have his body. And it's hard to bring the suspect to trial if you don't have a body.
When confronted by the evidence against him, Alan still doesn't admit culpability.
Alan still denies that he had anything to do with Thomas's disappearance. Doesn't matter that they have Thomas's clothes, doesn't matter that the clothes are covered in Thomas's blood. Alan says no.
But sometimes actions speak louder than words. A day after learning that police found bloody clothes on his property, Alan overdoses on drugs and lands himself in the hospital.
Was he trying to kill himself? We don't know, but it is strange and coincidental that when confronted with his best friend's clothing covered in blood, that his behavior the next day was followed with an overdose.
Even in his sickly state, Alan never confesses to committing a crime. But it appears his clock is ticking.
Menzies was almost trying to block out what had happened or trying to block out the inevitable call of the police on his door.
Luckily, 5 weeks after Thomas went missing, the investigation gets the jump start it's been desperate for. A search team looking in the area where Alan lives stumbles upon a shocking discovery.
They locate a shallow grave quite near where Alan lives, and they discover a body. And it's the body of a young man. And it's the body that fits the description of Thomas.
While decomposition makes it hard to identify the remains, testing later confirms everyone's suspicions. It's Thomas.
The pathologist determined that Thomas had been stabbed an excess of 40 times, a clear case of overkill. But in addition to that, his head had also been bashed in numerous times.
Now police only have one question.
Why was he killed? What possible reason would anyone have to murder Thomas?
With a surplus of evidence against Alan Menzies, police place him under arrest for the murder of his friend, Thomas McKendrick. This time, while in police custody, Alan knows he's caught red-handed, so he starts singing a different tune.
Must kill someone.
Shortly after Menzies' arrest, when speaking to investigating officers, he floats to them the idea that he's had visions about vampires and that he's been visited by Akasha from the movie, and that he indeed believes himself to be now an immortal vampire because he's killed a victim.
I mean, I knew I had to kill somebody to become a vampire.
In the film Queen of the Damned, Aaliyah's character has the ability to transform any being into an immortal. She is one of the most powerful characters taken from Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles. And murder suspect Alan Menzies thinks her power extends beyond the film.
One of the reasons movies are so popular is because they allow an audience to escape. Alan, however, was an anomaly. For some reason, he couldn't separate the character played by Aaliyah as a fictional person, and he sought to live out that fantasy in his real life.
Alan Menzies has just told police a horror story more terrifying than any movie.
I mean, I knew I had to kill somebody to become a vampire.
He floats to them the idea that he's had visions about vampires and that he's been visited by Akasha from the movie, and that he indeed believes himself to be now an immortal vampire because he's killed a victim.
Police aren't sure what to make of Alan's bizarre statements.
For this police department, probably the first time they've ever heard that, it was shocking and it was strange, and ultimately it was disturbing enough to be frightening.
Although Alan's confession all but solves the mystery as to what happened to Thomas, police are still baffled about why Alan would want to kill his only friend. Luckily, Alan isn't holding back on revealing the details. He says it all went down on December 11th, 2002.
Thomas came over to Alan's house. Alan insisted on watching his film.
Seriously? Again?
Pressured Thomas to do this. Thomas went along with it, very begrudgingly. Made fun of the film while he was watching it.
Akasha, queen of the vampires.
This irritated Alan. But the final blow was when Thomas said, "Do you really believe in vampires?"
Get out.
Whatever.
I think for Alan, this is his one friend, and this is the friend who turned him on to this movie to begin with. And to have this friend turn around and now sort of disparage the movie, sort of disparage Aaliyah, who, Alan absolutely adores and worships, I think it was a blow for him. He hallucinates that he sees Aaliyah, and Aaliyah can't believe that Alan is letting Thomas say those things about her and about the movie and about vampires.
Alan, it is time. Time for you to become a vampire.
Alan then grabbed a knife from the kitchen and went towards Thomas.
Kill you! No, Alan! Stop!
And started stabbing him repeatedly.
Alan! Stop! Wait!
We see a return to his previous behavior, that of impulsive, extreme violence, just as we saw when he stabbed the bully many years before.
Stop!
Alan stabs his friend in the face, shoulders, and neck, but the attack does not leave Thomas fatally wounded.
Thomas is able to flee and run up the stairs.
Alan, stop!
Alan goes right after him. He's not going to let his victim escape.
Thomas tries to take shelter in his friend's bedroom, but his efforts are futile.
Taking a nearby hammer, he then bashes his best friend's skull. Again, and again, and again. All the while, hearing the commands from Aaliyah, telling him to kill. He didn't stand a chance.
The number of stab wounds was somewhere near 40. The death of his friend clearly meant something to him. It was of emotional significance, which is why he stabbed him so many times.
After the deed ended, Alan says that the Queen of the Damned was happy with his kill.
Yeah, I had to kill somebody.
Alan claimed he made fun of my bird, meaning his lovebird, meaning Aaliyah and her character in Queen of the Damned. And for that reason, he justified killing his best friend.
Seriously, she can't even act.
It seems as if Thomas just happened to say the wrong thing at the wrong time.
No doubt the police had never, ever heard a confession like this in all their time on the police force. This was one truly bizarre story. Yet, the worst was still to come.
The credits haven't rolled on this confession just yet. There are some never-before-seen details coming their way.
Perhaps the most bizarre aspect of the killing, of course, is that after death, Menzies positioned McKendrick's body onto his side. He made an incision in his neck and was able to drip some of the blood into a cup.
But does the blood quench Alan's thirst, or is there more mutilation to come?
Let alone the fact that it's his best friend. I mean, this is a human being.
The vampire film Queen of the Damned has convinced Alan Menzies to kill his best friend. But Alan's gory confession about the crime is making the film look like child's play.
There really were no signs of how disturbed Alan truly was, how strong his obsession was with the film Queen of the Damned, how far he would go to be united with this character that Aaliyah played.
Alan tells police that shortly after delivering the death blow, his transformation into becoming a vampire commenced.
Alan has now killed his best friend, but he's not content with that. He turns Thomas's body on the side, and he cuts his throat and he drains his blood, and he drinks it, thus becoming the vampire that he always wanted to be.
When it was all said and done, Alan drank 2 cups of blood.
He then went on to remove some of the tissue from the skull matter of McKendrick and then ingested some of that as well.
In his mind, to become a vampire, commanded by the character that Aaliyah played, needed to eat his best friend's brains. And so he did.
When Alan had ended his ceremony, he realized that he had to get rid of Thomas's body.
He was able to remove the body of McKendrick in a wheelbarrow and take him to a nearby wood where he buried him in a shallow grave.
Then he returned home and cleaned the blood in his room so that his family wouldn't ask questions. Only he misses some.
I cut myself. When did this happen?
What kind of person can eat their best friend's brains? What kind of person can drink their best friend's blood and enjoy it and have no remorse and no guilt and believe that they're going to become a vampire? It's incredible.
The confession all but seals a conviction against Alan.
There is an interesting quote that Alan reportedly said when he was being taken to the courthouse. I may be given 20 or 25 years, but I got his soul.
At his trial, Alan pleads not guilty by reason of insanity.
There was a lot of questioning in the trial about whether he was genuinely ill or if this was some way to avoid justice and try to claim that he was not responsible, not legally responsible for the death of Thomas.
During the trial, Alan did many things for people to question his sanity. He wrote letters home to his family and he would sign them Vamp. He also said in his letters he would kill again. However, these behaviors were not able to convince the jury that he wasn't anything more than a sociopath.
The jury's decision clearly was that he was guilty of murder, that he did know the difference between right and wrong.
He is sentenced to life in prison. However, just 1 year into his sentence, Alan decides to take his own life while behind bars.
We have to remember that if Alan truly believed he was a vampire, he never would have committed suicide. Because a vampire is immortal and can't die.
Looks like vampires only exist in the movies.
I think had Alan not seen the movie, he still would have committed the crime. I think he still would have done it because that's the kind of person he was. I think he had that inside of him. I think he would have just found another movie to blame it on. I think he would have latched onto something else. But ultimately, I think he was a killer and he would have killed.